She said we weren't dating at a couple's dinner, so I stopped being her almost boyfriend. Lila and I were just friends for about a year, even though everything we did looked like dating. I'm Daniel, 28, a structural engineer, and I own my own place. Lila came to weddings with me, slept over, and called me her person when she was stressed. I helped her move twice and carried her boxes. I fixed little stuff in her apartment, and she'd grin and say, "You're the best." When my dad had a health scare, she drove 3 hours with me and stayed the weekend. So I kept thinking we were building something real, but every time I tried to define it, she dodged. She'd laugh and say, "Labels are overrated." One night I asked, "So what do I tell people?" She said, "Tell them we're close," then changed the subject and turned up the TV. I tried to be patient, but it started feeling like I was the only one taking it seriously. Then Brandon and Claire invited us to their anniversary dinner. 8 people, all couples, and Lila slid into the seat beside me like it was normal. Someone smiled and asked, "How long have you two been dating?" I opened my mouth, and Lila cut in fast. "Oh, we're not dating. Daniel's just my really good friend who happens to be male." The table went quiet. I laughed because I didn't know what else to do, but my throat felt tight. After dinner, in the parking lot, I asked, "What are we doing?" She rolled her eyes like I was being difficult, and reached for my arm like that should fix it. I stepped back. "Why complicate it?" she said. "We get the fun parts without the drama." That line made everything snap into focus. I was doing boyfriend-level effort while she kept her options open. I told her I needed space. She looked honestly shocked. "Don't overthink this, Daniel." An hour later, she texted me a meme, and then, right after, "Can you help me pick out a couch tomorrow?" I didn't answer. She called twice. I let it ring. 5 days later, I met her for coffee and ended it. I said, "I want someone who's excited to build a future with me." "You're not." Her face went hard. She called me dramatic, said I was ruining a friendship over semantics, and tried to flip it on me. "You knew what this was," she said. I said, "No, that's the problem," and I walked out. 4 days later, I felt relief, like I could breathe again. Then Brandon texted me, "We all thought you two were together," and he added, "This explains why Lila got weird whenever anyone mentioned you dating someone else." That stung, because it was true. She wanted me unavailable, but she didn't want to claim me. So I moved on. Months later, I met Naomi at a community art show. She was a high school art teacher, warm and steady, and she asked real questions about my work. It felt good to be listened to instead of managed. On our third date, she stopped outside the cafe and said, "I really like you. I want us to be exclusive. I'm excited to call you my boyfriend. Just clear and simple, like it should be." I said yes. We made real plans, met each other's friends, and it felt easy in my body for the first time in a long time. That's when Lila started popping back up. She liked my posts, then unliked them. She sent, "Hey stranger," like nothing happened. At Brandon's barbecue, she walked up and started inside jokes, barely looking at Naomi. When I introduced Naomi, Lila smiled too wide and said, "Oh, so this is her," like she was checking a box. Later, she tried to pull me aside and whispered, "You really moved on fast," like I owed her an explanation. At Claire's birthday dinner, she squeezed into the seat next to mine and talked like she still had a place there. She ordered my usual drink before I even spoke and said, "See, I still know you." I slid my chair back and said, "Please don't do that." Naomi stayed polite, but later she said, "She seems possessive for someone who insisted you were just friends." 2 days after that, Lila texted me, "I miss our friendship. I think there were misunderstandings. Can we get coffee and talk?" I showed Naomi. She handed my phone back and said, "I trust you. Just remember why you stepped away." I didn't reply. 10 months into dating Naomi, her students held another big art exhibition. The room was packed and loud, and Naomi was glowing as she praised each kid's work. I waited until she stopped by the main display, then I took her hand, took a breath, and got down on one knee. "Will you marry me?" She said yes right away, eyes wide, and people around us cheered and clapped for us. About an hour later, my phone buzzed non-stop. Lila sent a long message about how she always thought we'd figure it out, how I was moving too fast, how she needed to see me before I got married. I looked at Naomi laughing with her students, still holding my hand, and I felt calm. I replied once, "Thanks for the congratulations. I'm happy with my choices." Then I blocked Lila everywhere and put my phone away. Now people are saying I'm cold for blocking her. Was I wrong?